What's next? The only person you have to compete against is yourself. Now that means that you're going to meet people who are better at working, better at organizing, better at thinking through things, better at meditation, better at weight loss, better at bodybuilding. And yes, you'll look at them and you'll have a little bit of envy for them because they're successful at that one criteria that you see. But remember, we're all human beings and we're all fighting our own personal battles. And there are things that that person who you envy are an abject failure at. And that's not to judge, that's just to explain that we're all living on a level playing field. We all have abilities, we all have setbacks. So, an example is I'm trying to attain what I believe is my ideal weight, and I get close, and all I want to do is hit my ideal weight, and then take a little bit of time off with the diets and the intermittent fasting. But I haven't hit it yet. I get close. I get within, I think the closest was 1.5 pounds of my ideal weight. And yes, I could hunger down and do a couple of things to get to that ideal weight, but it really wouldn't be that. I want to get there at a natural progression, but I get a natural progression down and then it spikes up and then crawls back down again. But that's just my life. That's what's happening to me, and that's how I am seeing it. But it's just when I see others who are able to successfully lose weight and they achieve it and then they give me their, where they're doing it. And yes, in the beginning, others' ways of losing weight worked fine. The intermittent fasting ideas were fine. I lost a lot of weight doing that. The keto, when you only eat proteins and no carbs, that worked fine. But each time my body adjusted and began to slowly increase, slowing my metabolism and causing me to creep back up again. So for my body, it's a constant bend and dive and keep changing things up for me to help me lose to what I believe my ideal weight is. But I don't beat myself up about it. It's my journey. And I enjoy the journey. And although I have a goal and I'm getting close to it, I haven't achieved it yet. And sometimes it gets frustrating. Other times it's a carrot on the stick and I'm striving for it. And what do I do once I achieve it? How long do I take a break for? But then there's also people who meditation. I am very good at meditation. I can sit, quiet my mind, and know exactly what to do, but listening to my inner chatter and not judging, listening and not arguing and not defending myself, and I've learned to do that. And that also has helped me in my living life when dealing with people who say things that I don't quite agree with, but I don't have to agree with them. So when you meditate and you clear your mind and you listen to the chatter, and the chatter says insulting things, it doesn't matter. It says things you don't agree about yourself, it's just getting attention. But when it says something important, you remember that for later and you use that important positive signs. And when you're dealing with other people, they will say negative things that you don't agree with, but it doesn't matter if you agree with them or not. It's their life. You don't have to convince anybody. You just listen with compassion, whatever they have to say, and you smile and you prove that you're actually listening to them. But it doesn't mean you accept it or you justify it. It just means you listen. And sometimes people say the most ridiculous things only because they need someone to listen to them. And they say the ridiculous things to kind of subconsciously check the cues to see if you actually are listening. And you can, say it back to them, ask for clarity or something like that to prove that you are listening. But other times, just ridiculous things that they just say it, and you just move on with the conversation. But some people, you might have really trouble meditating, sitting quietly, listening to your own chatter, and you just can't stand the inner chatter. Well, that's why you have walking. You can walk and listen to music. Yes, that is meditating. It's a little different. It's more of a controlled, it's more of a guided meditating. But whenever the inner chatter comes, you can ignore it till you can handle it at a better time. And always remember, the inner chatter is just a bad defense system. The inner chatter that says negative things is really not trying to be negative. It's just lost its ability to communicate with you well, and it's the only way it can get attention. It's like a 2-year-old child that doesn't know how to ask for things in the right way, but they know they can get attention by doing things in the wrong way. And yeah, she'll say, oh, I can't meditate. No, you can meditate, you just got to find your right way. And people, like I just said, I gave an idea of how to meditate, but my idea of meditation will not work for a lot of people. And some people, other people have a better way of meditating, and it'll work for some, but not for others. Everyone's life is different. Everyone has their own inner demons. Everyone has their own. By whether or not something that works for someone else works for us. And at the end of the day, you have to look and see how well you've done. Because even when you've hit rock bottom, there's only one way to go, and that's up. And then you're going to remember when you moved even a little bit up, you can remember, well, I was at rock bottom and I've succeeded here. And then I'd failed for a little while, but in the recent past, I've succeeded. And just give yourself the positive reinforcement that you deserve. We all have an inner child, and that inner child just needs to be listened to once in a while. And we are our best advocate. Stop fighting with yourself, and whenever the negativity comes, just listen to it as a friend, and don't defend it, just listen. Simply listen. You don't agree with it, you're just simply listening and trying to get, and then you might eventually, even with a negative inner chat, you might get a new perspective that you could use to better yourself. A lot of the inner chat is garbage, but some of it, even if it's negative, there might be an underlying message there. And when you have a different perspective, when you're listening to it from a compassionate point of view, there might be a kernel of good information deep inside there. So yes, each of us have only one person to compete with, and that's ourselves. We don't have to worry about what everyone else is succeeding at. We can use their work, their successes, their advice as a foundation, but we have to import it into our own lives. Because at the end of the day, whatever we feel aligns with us, we're more willing to work with. The more we have success with it, the more we have to move forward. And when you have to repeat failure with something, you don't just keep beating yourself up because you can't succeed. You've got to modify it. So, just compete with yourself. Don't beat yourself up. Strive for your successes. Praise yourself for your accomplishments, and move forward. But those are my ideas. I'd love to hear anyone else's. What's next?